When you picture a genius, I bet I know who comes to mind. It's him, right? Albert Einstein. The crazy hair, the brilliant mind, he's become the universal symbol for intelligence. But here's the thing. The story we all think we know, that's just the highlight reel. The real story is so much more interesting. What if I told you that the man who completely redefined our universe started his life not as some prodigy, but with a whole series of pretty profound setbacks? Let's explore that idea. And this wasn't just a small worry. From his very first days, his own family was seriously concerned that he might have some sort of intellectual disability. I mean, that's a shocking start for the man who would literally become synonymous with the word genius. And yet somehow, this is the very same person who would go on to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics. So how does a child that people feared was slow become the man who reshapes our understanding of reality itself? Well, that's the incredible journey we're about to take. Okay, so our story begins not with these amazing sparks of genius, but with some deep, deep parental anxiety. This was Einstein's really worrisome start. The fears his parents had were really specific and honestly pretty relatable. It all started right at birth, with a head that was so large and kind of misshapen that his family was genuinely worried. And then came the silence. He didn't speak a single word until he was 4 years old. And even then, his process was, well, it was unusual. He would practice entire sentences, whispering them under his breath over and over until he got them just right. And only then would he say them out loud. So it's really no wonder that a lot of people around him thought he'd never amount to anything. But while the outside world was just seeing delays and odd behavior, inside his mind, a completely different kind of education was happening. And it was one that had very little to do with any kind of formal school curriculum. You see, his real passion wasn't in the classroom. At an age when most kids are just getting started, he began this intense program of self-education. By 12, he'd taught himself geometry, and get this, by 15, he had mastered calculus, all on his own. This wasn't about being a good student in every single subject. This was about a powerful, focused drive in the areas that truly captured his imagination. Now, you'd think this kind of self-taught brilliance would guarantee a nice, smooth path. But instead, it led to a direct collision with the established system, and that marked the beginning of a long, long path of failure. His journey through formal education was rocky, to say the least. He felt so constrained, so bored, that he just walked away from his school in Germany when he was only 15 years old. And then came one of the most famous failures in the history of science. Yes, Albert Einstein failed his university entrance exam. Now, to be fair, he absolutely aced the math and physics sections. But his knowledge in the other subjects, well, it just wasn't good enough. He actually had to go back, study more, and take the test a second time before he was finally let in. Even after he graduated, the struggle just continued. For nearly a decade, he couldn't get a job as a professor or a researcher. The academic world simply wasn't interested. Just think about that for a second. 10 years of rejection for one of the greatest minds in all of human history. So, if the universities didn't want him, where did his revolutionary ideas actually come from? The answer is as surprising as it is inspiring. He needed to make a living, right? So he took a job as a clerk in a Swiss patent office. By day, he was just reviewing other people's inventions. But in his spare time, inside his own head, he was working on a little side project of cosmic proportions, completely rethinking space, time, and energy. And this is where it all came together. The most famous equation in the world, the very foundation of the atomic age, it wasn't developed in some state-of-the-art laboratory. It was born in the mind of a patent clerk who just refused to let his boring circumstances define his intellectual ambition. And this brings us right to the core lesson of Einstein's life. When we strip away the myth, what we find isn't some effortless superhuman. What we find is a testament to the relentless, unstoppable power of human curiosity. You know, even after his groundbreaking work, recognition didn't come easy. It took 11 long years from his very first nomination for him to finally be awarded the Nobel Prize. Every single step of his journey, from his childhood to the highest honor in science, was a long, difficult fight. In the end, Einstein himself said it best. He didn't attribute his success to some innate, magical gift. No, he attributed it to passion. a relentless, driving, passionate curiosity that pushed him through all the doubt, all the failure, and all the rejection. And that really leaves us with the final thought. The story of Albert Einstein isn't really about genius. It's about the incredible places your curiosity can take you, but only if you refuse to let it go. So the real question for all of us is, what are you passionately curious about?